Welcome to the Help Me I'm Middle-Aged podcast. My name is Rob.
And I'm Rob too.
We're just two middle-aged guys who love meeting interesting people and hearing their stories.
Our goal is to bring you interesting guests and their unique stories to inspire, educate, and entertain. So sit back, relax, because here we go.
Welcome to the Help Me I'm Middle-Aged podcast. My name is Rob.
And I'm Rob too.
And today our guest is Pete Chevy. He is a personal trainer, lifelong commitment to personal fitness, and we're so excited to have him on.
Yeah, this should be a very good episode. Yeah, Pete is based in Flemington, New Jersey, and it says you have an advanced degree in exercise physiology, and you are a certified strength and conditioning specialist through the NSCA.
Yeah, well put.
Thank you.
Rob,
Thank you.
I think we need a little bit of Pete.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
if you can see both of us, there's probably definition differences.
Absolutely. Well, we'll get some close up on them guns before we leave. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I don't think I'm missing much.
No. Well, thanks for coming on, Pete. Thanks for coming on.
You got
really appreciate it. So, where did this lifelong dedication to personal fitness come? Were you a child? Were you always an athlete? Were your parents athletic?
I have ADHD/ADD, so that's where it started. When I was like elementary school, I was that kid, finished my work really fast,
Right.
poking the kid next to me.
Right, okay.
So they would have me go and do errands. So I'd finish my work and my leg would start shaking. The teacher was like, Pete, run this to the office, run that. So I was like the errand boy. That's how it all started. So then instead of going on medication, my doctor was like, get him doing like as many things as possible. We did, rec soccer, rec wrestling, wrestle lacrosse, you name it.
Wow.
I did it. So it started there, but I'm a jack of all trades, good at all, great at none. Mm-hmm. That's been my life story. So then it started soccer. Soccer all through high school, won the state championships, Hillsborough High School, never been repeated to this day.
What year did you guys win the title?
That was 97.
Wow.
That was because of you though, right? Let's call it like it is.
No, again, good but not great. Right. And so then I tore my rotator cuff in my right arm. And this is where it really started. You know, you go to physical therapy.
Yep.
And I was like 17, 18 years old.
And you're in that physical environment,
And I was wiry. I was like 170 pounds. Well, I was a 6 foot, just a wiry kid. And I started doing shoulder exercises. And I don't know if it's genetics or what. And I just muscle mass started popping on. I'm like, this is great.
Yeah.
So my lifelong friend Mario was going to King's College to wrestle for that freshman year of college, and we just started training day in, day out.
Okay.
Those were like the glory days. Get up, go to work in the summertime.
Right.
Get done, go train, lay by his neighbor's pool when they weren't home.
Sure.
That was the glory days.
So now you discover this at 17.
Yep.
And then you're about to go to college.
Correct.
So it was a quick decision, and that's what you're going to major in school.
Yep.
Okay.
And then there I just kept the other weight room was great there.
You went to Ryder, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And I commuted there actually.
Oh, okay.
So it was
half hour from your house, probably.
It was an hour from Hillsborough. So I'm on the far skirts of Hillsborough.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So it took me about 15, 20 minutes just to get to 206.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Right.
And then we just actually met a really good guy, the administrator of the gym, and he was like, a first mentor because he ran the whole program.
Sure.
So then we just went from there.
So now, like, because sometimes like ADHD, that doesn't go away, right? So you find when you exercise, you're able to focus.
Yes.
Focus in a little bit.
Absolutely.
And that really helped you sort of find a path and go forward with it.
Yeah, and a lot of it was, we would train early sometimes, and that I always liked getting up like 4 or 5 o'clock. Mm-hmm. Like I still can't sleep into this day. That's not a thing. But because it tired you out, but then with that physical tiredness, mental tiredness, and I was able to do stuff.
Focused on it.
Let's direct the energies in the right way.
Correct.
That makes a lot of sense.
So you would work out before your classes?
Yeah, for the most part.
And then when you were in your classes, you think you were able to concentrate a little more?
Yes.
Oh, that's
interesting.
Awesome. That's
awesome.
Yeah. It's like a holistic way of not taking medication.
Similar to to doing meditation in the morning.
Right.
Focusing on that. Very similar.
That's great.
So so you graduated, and then what'd you do after that?
So, let's see. That part of my life, a family friend of mine did commercial real estate.
Okay.
And I was always good at talking.
Sure.
So he was like, dude, you got to try this business. Coming into this business. And I went in, did really well, but I didn't like not having a next thing to work on. You guys are in sales, right? You know what I'm talking about. You hit one deal, and then now what?
Right.
So the market kind of dropped after that, so I went and switched to doing what I did.
Okay.
So how did you, with the ADHD stuff, right? So like, how did you like the office environment?
Brutal.
That's what I'm thinking to myself. You don't look I've known you 20 minutes. You do not look like a cubicle guy.
I remember sitting by the window. And it was like July.
It was like back in second grade.
I had the window I was like staring at butterflies out the window.
And they're like, Pete, there's a $10 million deal here. Oh, looking nice.
100%. You're exactly right. That's literally like the moment.
Right.
It was like no one was in the office because the senior guys are out playing golf. I had to stay in the office to take phone calls.
Right.
Torture.
So I'm sitting there and it was torture. Birds are chirping and I'm seriously looking out the window.
Outside.
I got to get out of here.
I
got to get out of here. The money was crazy. You get a check for $60,000.
Wow.
Just, here.
This was during before the whole housing market blew up, right?
Correct, but it was only it's pretty always like that for commercial stuff.
Okay.
So we're leasing, 200,000 square feet of warehouse.
Right.
$50,000 square feet of office.
Right.
So the checks are crazy.
Yeah. Right, because it's such a large
And you get then like when they renew their lease, you get paid again for doing nothing. So every 5 years,
right,
you're getting paid.
Absolutely.
For doing nothing, which was
really, like a residual income thing. You build up a big book of business. You build up a lot of clients, a lot of real estate.
Correct.
You have renters in there. So as long as the economy's humming, you're doing okay.
Actually, it doesn't matter because when the economy stinks, people are downsizing.
Right. So you get
now, like we don't need all this space. We got 2 guys, so then you put them in something. It was a cool business.
Money in motion, as long as
it really was.
But even with the big paydays, you just weren't happy.
It wasn't. It was brutal.
It wasn't you.
Yeah. It was brutal. So shirt and tie was too much.
Yeah,
it was all too much.
So then you roll out of that, and then you jump. You say, okay, this ain't for me. I'm gonna do my passion, physical fitness.
Correct.
I'm gonna start my own business.
Correct. I started out at Maximum Fitness in Flemington.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
And Retro Fitness took their spot.
Yeah.
On the out, like
I know.
So I started there doing training, and you had to work there a little bit in order to train there.
Oh,
so I did some hours.
Okay.
Mopped some floors.
Yeah.
Changed some garbages.
Right.
I think that was healthy for you.
Yeah. Humble you a little bit.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that's where I started building some of my clientele that's still with me today.
Nice.
For real.
And when I was talking to you in the pre-interview, you were saying how large part of your clientele are older people, like sort of like the help me out middle-aged demographic.
Totally.
Like a little bit older in life, 50s, 60s, right? And you were saying that you get a lot of reward out of working with that community of people.
Yep.
Probably need it the most, I would think.
I mean, you can make an athlete a little better here and there, but it's the man or woman that hasn't done anything in 15 years.
Right.
That wants to make but you got to get to that rock bottom just like any other part of your life, right? I need this looking out the window at the butterfly. That was my moment, right? Or being 50 pounds overweight, coming back from an accident.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, I got to do something about it. And that's what you really need to start anything. Right.
You have to, I call it your coming to Jesus moment.
Yeah.
Now I got to do something here. So you when you're working with these clients, what is the self-satisfaction when you see someone walk in the door, maybe they have an issue, they're trying to build up strength in the lower back, knees, and then like you see them progress and grow.
Yep.
I mean, outside of you're trying to run a business, there's a financial component to it, but you must really feel amazing when you see other people growing under your leadership and training.
Some of my best moments happen in winter, believe it or not.
Right.
Because 9 out of 10 people go, I slipped on the ice and I was waiting to fall and I didn't fall.
Really? Yeah, dip into that a little bit.
So, everyone does ladder drills. Like old school, he's through the tires, a little more subdued.
Right.
Now we use ladders and rings now, but it's how fast you can pick up and put down your foot.
Okay.
And that's a lot of it's foot speed, we call it.
Okay.
So being able to go fast like that.
Right.
So what happens when doing all these different patterns, when you get off of balance, your mind automatically picks your foot up and catches safe ground.
Gotcha.
I was carrying groceries and I caught my foot going up the stairs. I was waiting for the pain and I never fell. That happens all the time.
Because they get more agile.
Get more agile. Their foot speed gets better. Their leg strength gets better. Their balance, because we do a lot of balance work.
Right.
Right.
And that's the biggest, seriously, besides all the other stuff, that's the biggest, because one fall, and that's a life changer.
Oh, yeah.
Especially broken hip, broken leg, that's it.
Right.
You know, everyone knows my grandmother broke her hip. Oh, that's it.
Yeah,
Right.
Here we go.
Right.
The beginning of the end.
Right.
What's your typical age of a client that you're working?
Usually 50 to 70.
Okay, wow. Okay. Yeah, so I guess at that point you really kind of say, hey, things got to change. I got to bring in an individual like yourself to make that change.
Correct. And just getting people, they pay me no matter what. But that's not me being mean. It's because they will show up then.
Right. Yeah. The
They
incentive
will show
has to be
up.
there, or else you're
Right.
not take it seriously. So, I mean, that's
Correct.
important. That's good. No, and you've built a clientele. How long have you been solo at this point?
Let's see. I think that was 2000 and maybe 17.
Okay.
When you're working with other guys doing this, everyone has a different opinion.
Right.
Partnerships
And
and
it's
complicated.
it's brutal.
I mean, we have those issues too.
It's tough. It's tough.
Just
And
listen-
He's carrying me the whole time.
We
so-
listen to Rob. It all goes good.
Yeah.
So when you're also in the gym environment, things get heated quick. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
They really do.
A little testosterone flowing.
Absolutely.
Well, back to like the training the middle-aged folks. So as you get older, naturally your muscle mass decreases,
Correct.
especially in females, more than males. So it is important to try and maintain what you have and build up, because every decade you're just losing muscle mass. You're
And
losing
gaining
muscle,
fat,
gaining
quick,
fat,
quick.
losing muscle mass.
I can attest to
It's-
that. Yeah.
Over I think the last stat I read was over 50 years old is 5 pounds a year on average. The American
really?
gains.
Yeah.
Yeah. And most of the time it's in the holiday season.
Right.
You gain 5, never take it off. Next year, gain 5, never take it off.
Yeah, well, it's a lot easier going on than coming off. But
For sure.
Oof, yeah.
But you have to emphasize on maintaining and building muscle mass with your clientele.
Correct.
How's that working with once you start getting near the mid 60s, 70s? Like how does that happen?
Those processes don't really get that detrimental until you get really, really maybe 85 years old.
Gotcha.
But there's no reason
You can't.
you can't.
You can't
Correct.
continue to build
and
muscle
most
mass.
of it, most of it, to be honest with you, is just crappy food.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Processed foods.
Processed food. Sugar is the devil.
Bagels. Right?
Sugar's. The bagel's not that bad. It's because it's the sugar.
Right.
It's the sugar. Any kind of sugar, even cane sugar, organic sugar. It's all sugar.
Right. Yeah.
It's so strange. My wife always talks about this. So she was in New York one time with my son, and they were at like this public pool, and there was this giant black and white picture of the pool and all the kids from the 1930s.
Oh yeah.
and compared
there wasn't 1 ounce of fat on anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
And then if you go back and you look at statistics, what the average American's yearly sugar intake was in the 1930s to where it is now, it's just a line that just keeps going up and up and up and up.
Yeah.
It was really fascinating.
Yeah.
That's it. Now I used that reference the other day. Was when we used to go to the pool as kids, you'd see one overweight guy and you'd be like, yo, look at that guy.
Right, yeah.
Look at that guy. I mean, it was mind blowing to see someone obese.
Right.
Nowadays, when I walk around, I'm the freak.
Yeah. Look at that thin,
That guy's in shape, and everyone else is laying there. It's really just like you said. It's just 180.
I think we're starting to come around. Like, people are starting to get educated on it, and I think too that there's an emotional aspect too. Like, I'm
dude.
Italian. Like, we eat because we're happy, sad, or bored.
So we can go into the dopamine cycle, and that's what it all comes down to.
Yeah, people-
Dopamine. Everything's dopamine
Right,
stimulant.
right.
Texting on your phone,
Right.
looking at your phone,
Posting something, waiting for the likes.
Absolutely.
Right.
Eating something, and eating is the fastest way to get dopamine stimulation. So it's pew,
Okay.
pew,
Yeah.
pew, pew.
I got a
Same.
question. How about coffee? Do you drink coffee?
I do have a coffee, maybe 1 or 2 a day on the average. But the dopamine hits this eating food hits the same area of the brain as cocaine, heroin.
Right.
Totally. That's why people have such a hard time. It's going
Breaking
through
it.
withdrawal.
Right.
It really is the same center of the brain. It's really nuts when you
And
look
what
at
people
it.
don't understand is, like, I always tell my kids this. It's like, you never overeat apples but
Right.
you will overeat Doritos
Right.
until you can't. You just keep eating them, right?
Yeah.
And I was reading this book many years ago. These large companies have what's called a food scientist.
Yeah.
So they'll build these foods in the lab based on your taste buds, and they'll put stuff in that will make you
Continue
to eat it because it helps the business cycle, right? So like if you finish the bag of chips, you'll go buy the next bag of chips, right? And it's just always that but you'll never overeat apples, bananas. Maybe having a good day, you'll have an apple and a half, and you're like, okay, I'm done.
Right.
But you'll take that same volume of a processed food, and you find it sometimes hard to even stop eating it. No. That's not an accident.
It's not an accident.
Yeah.
Not at all.
It's a business move.
You know, if you want to take one thing away from eating, you can look at our bodies. They're still caveman genetics,
sure,
right?
Absolutely.
There's-
Hunter-gatherers.
There's nothing in nature, one item, that has fat and carbohydrates in it, period.
Right.
You'll have an apple, it's got some carbs. Banana's got some carbs. You got some meat, that's got protein and fat.
Right.
Protein and fat go together. Protein and carbs, you can't find one thing in nature
Really?
that has a combination.
That's interesting. Wow.
None, nothing. Pick a fruit, fat free. Pick, maybe an avocado, but that's got fat, no carbs.
Right.
There's no combination in nature, and that's the big combination to stay away from. Sugar and fat.
Yeah.
Try not to mix the two.
Okay. Wow.
It doesn't exist. That's why you like the potato chips. Got the fat. If potato chips were fat free, they wouldn't be so bad. But it's got that 7-8 grams of fat and your 20 grams of carbohydrates.
Yeah.
There you go.
Right.
That sets you up for failure.
It really is. So try reading. When you look at the ingredients, try to stay away from anything that has high fat, high carbs. Stay away.
And sugar.
Now, would you say most people's issue, it's 2/3 what they eat versus 1/3
Yeah,
exercise?
for the most part.
I mean, the problems they run into is they just
Correct.
eat lousy to begin with. They're maybe not totally not exercising at all, but it's really what they eat that's the
Yeah,
big deal.
that food cycle starts the whole hormone cycle.
Right.
All the way from testosterone to cortisol levels, your stress levels. I mean, and so everyone thinks testosterone is the number one. It's actually insulin is your
Right.
most anabolic hormone.
Okay.
So when you look at like anabolic steroids, insulin is the number one, the strongest. So everyone's eating insulin spikes all the time.
Right.
And that stores body fat. And that's why you get swollen really quick.
Yeah, I
So
listen to
insulin's the devil.
What's your diet?
I do one meal a day. I fast all day.
Okay.
So
Really?
my insulin levels are like
and
straight
that
line
doesn't
across.
affect your muscle mass.
No. Because like protein synthesis is the real driver behind muscle mass.
Right.
And protein is the only nutrient your body can recycle. This is actually mind blowing. So, sugar, once it burns it, it's gone. Fat, once it burns, it's either stored or gone. Protein gets recycled from where? Broken down tissue. So every cell in your body, on average, lasts 28 days. The cell.
Yeah, and
then
there's
it gets
billions of them.
Billions.
Right.
And they get sent to the liver to be remanufactured as another kidney cell, muscle cell.
Right.
But that's where the extra protein comes from. So you're recycling that body, skeletal, muscle tissue, organ tissue is going in a big cycle. So that's the cycle you need to tap into. So when you're always shoving your body full of sugar, full of fat, even protein, you're not getting that cycle to work because the body doesn't need to go to that extra protein that's recycling. It won't recycle it. It'll just store it as body fat.
Wow.
So you're one meal.
What
On
and
one
when?
meal a day.
So give me
One meal a day.
Is it salad, steak? What are you having?
Doesn't matter.
Oh,
I
you-
just stay away from sugar.
Okay.
Just stay away from
I
sugar.
do pastas.
Really?
Yeah. Right now I'm vegetarian.
You're a vegan.
I've been
vegan muscle guy.
not vegan, but vegetarian.
Vegetarian muscle.
And that's been about 3 years. And I was a huge carnivore before this. I'm talking pounds of steak. Like I probably sacrificed 500, goats a year or whatever. Handfuls of chickens. I don't do that now. I've noticed no difference in muscle mass.
No fish
None.
either? No fish
No
either?
fish. Nothing that
How
finds
you
a mate.
get it? But animal protein is good. It seems to go hand in
I do
hand.
egg.
What about
Egg is
cheese?
the yeah. I do
Dairy.
cheese,
Okay.
dairy and cheese.
Okay.
I do a lot of eggs. Egg protein is the closest thing to human body amino acid chains.
Really?
Yeah, it's 100 on the biological value chart.
Okay.
So egg is to go to. Egg
Interesting.
white, egg yellow, doesn't matter.
Right.
So now when you were having this one meal, like so you're fasting.
Good.
This is crazy. So you're
Yep.
usually like you can fast like 14 hours a day, sometimes 16 hours. Eat within an 8-hour window.
Yeah.
You're one and done.
One and done.
What time of day?
When I get home, 7 o'clock.
Wow, really?
Mm-hmm.
So now, what I heard about this, because a lot of guys, I was listening to a doctor named Peter Attila, and he has a good podcast too. And he was a guy who he measures his glucose. He has like a built-in thing, measures his glucose. Like he's really into all this type of stuff. He's a great doctor. But I think he's on this one meal a day thing too. And but it takes a while. Like if me and Rob were to try this right now, we would feel devastated for like a couple days.
You would.
Until your body can kick in.
You could start with taking out breakfast, which is, you'll see a huge difference just taking out breakfast.
Right.
Because then you'll be fasting from 8 o'clock in the night, all the way till noon the next day. You already pushed the window,
Right.
4 or 5 hours.
Now, will you have coffee during that time, though?
Yeah, I'll have like a black coffee in the morning.
Right. Okay.
Now,
And then I used to, I'd have, it all happened. It didn't stem from research and then say I'm going to do that. It stemmed from lack of time.
oh
Okay.
really? It
was
wasn't
actually
a conscious thing.
It was actually a monetary thing
Oh, really?
because I used to take breaks in between clients.
Right.
Now I go straight through. So I'd be sitting there training somebody, spitting out chicken at someone.
Right.
I have to eat. I gotta eat. I'd be spitting chicken at somebody or taking that break, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. So I just go back to back. Got rid of that, and then just did one meal when I got home.
Really?
And then looking at the backward science of it after I already achieved it, was seeing how good it was.
Well, even my own personal physician recommends fasting, and he says that your body during this period of fasting, your cells do the rebuilding thing.
Correct.
So the
Correct.
longer you go without the
Correct.
food, right? Can you maybe speak about that?
Yeah,
a
it's
little
called autophagy.
Okay.
Is the technical name for the process.
Okay.
Just like I mentioned before, when you keep shoving your body with nutrients,
Right.
it won't synthesize and use what it already has.
Okay.
So your cells only last like 20 days instead of 28 because it knows it'll have the energy to make new ones.
Oh, okay.
So
So you're
the-
training it, I guess, is it?
Just like everything else, you're training it.
Okay.
You're training it.
Wow.
No, you're sharing all this information with your clients. So
Yeah,
are you
a
doing
lot of
working
them-
out and
dude,
diet? Do you talk
A lot of them are very
both?
resistant to,
One meal a day?
yes,
Well,
very.
yeah.
I try not to I tried to push no sugar or
Right.
low amount of sugar as
You
much
got
as
to
you
go
can.
slow with people, right?
But even people who've been with me for years, they like their
The ritual. I
they
guess
like
is-
their 3 meals a day ritual,
Yeah,
even
yeah.
if it's something small in the morning.
Right.
Like, I have an egg and a piece of toast. I have to do it. I have to do it. They're not.
That's it. You want to do it.
They're
not
so
have to.
adamant about it.
Yeah.
I can make them do 100 burpees, but can't get them to skip breakfast.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like
People have a relationship
pretty
with
nuts.
But people
Yeah.
have a relationship with food that is very emotional.
think about this. If you want to run a marathon, you get out there, and which I've done a couple times. You got to train hours. So you're once a week you're going on a 3-hour run, not fast. You're doing like a 10-minute mile for like 3 hours because you got to do 15, 16 miles on a
build up.
progression, right? If you want to bench press 100 pounds, we got to go in and hit heavy weights. You got to be focused. It's intense. You want to hit a certain number. To lose weight, all you got to do is not do something.
Yeah.
Just don't eat.
Right.
Everything else you got to do something for.
Yeah, this is
right. I want to make more money. I got to make more cold calls.
Right.
I want to get better at tennis. I got to go practice. I want to learn the piano. I got to put in hours. You want to get skinnier? Don't eat.
Yeah.
It's
All you got to do is not do something.
Yeah.
that is true.
It's like the backwards of everything we've ever learned, right?
That is so true.
So do you have any sort of, I don't want to call them shortcuts
Mm.
for people who kind of come back to you and say, hey, well, what's the easiest way not to eat? Is it?
It's an emotional thing
It
for
really
a lot
is.
of people. It's an emotional thing.
Yep. I like chewing. That's I hear. Right? Yeah. I like the crunch.
I like the social aspect.
I
of
like
it.
the crunch. Getting people to stop. I don't drink alcohol either. And getting people to stop their wine at night is even worse.
Yeah.
I gotta
I
have my
know.
glass of wine.
People don't realize that wine has a big effect on your liver.
Well, and the sugar too.
Totally.
Yeah.
But my doctor said to have some wine. I mean, it could be argued either way. Those are all anecdotal evidence they're pulling from. You know what I mean?
Who's funding the study?
Exactly. Oh, wine's good for you, huh? I read it.
So are potato chips.
That's right.
I know. Well, if you notice the check came from a big nonprofit in Napa, you might want to,
Right?
Good point. That's a very good point.
Yeah, but I mean, it is. There's something called the Veratrol. What is it in wine? Is it called Veratrol?
Something like that.
There's something like that
in
wine.
A healthy component.
There's a healthy component,
right.
but when you look at it though, because I was listening.
You could probably get it someplace else.
Yeah, you can get it someplace else, and then like it depends on how much you have.
You'd have to drink like a case of wine to make
get
any.
that.
Yeah. They're picking out that one little molecule that's in
Right.
there. See, it's good because it's got that in there.
Right. So now your clientele. Let's focus in on this, right? So I'm sure you've heard every excuse about why you cannot do something. So what is that conversation like when when they first come in and they're like a burpee, and then all of a sudden, a couple months in, they're blowing through burpees. Like you're like, oh my god, look at this.
Yeah.
Like what is that? Like, what is that conversation like with the clients?
When we start, I'll make them do something, a piece of it.
Right.
So if you can't do a chest to ground burpee, for instance, I'll
Right.
make them do it on a bench, because you got to get those little wins.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's almost relating to watching a kid learn to talk. Like you always got to talk a little more than they can understand
Okay.
to keep that progression of learning
Right.
going. Right? You're not going to talk to a 3-year-old like a baby,
Okay.
correct?
Sure.
Like
sure.
you guys have kids, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So when they were learning to talk, they just learned by themselves for the most part. You're not going to talk to a 5-year-old, oh, goo goo gaga, right? So it's almost the same thing. You got to keep that edge.
Okay.
So everyone says, when does this get easier? And I say, it won't, because I'll make it harder.
Right.
Because you got to be
Push yourself.
riding the edge of failure, right?
Right.
Just like a kid learning to talk. That's why I like to.
Well, it's the only way you grow. I mean, at that
Right.
point. So yeah.
So that we start with something easy, get them a couple wins. You see, you said you couldn't do it. You just did the first half.
Yeah.
And then you just slowly over time, I make notes, keep a little chart, a little book, nothing too advanced. Just couldn't do a burpee, did it on the bench. And a couple weeks later, try it again. So that's what, then we'll keep dropping the bench, and before you know it, they're on the floor. It doesn't take that many times.
Right.
And a lot, like you guys mentioned before, it's all mental. Oh, I can't do that. You just did it.
Right.
And that happens a lot.
Yeah.
So you're part trainer, part therapist.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to talk people into overcoming their own mental challenges and the abilities that they say they can't do, they can do.
Right.
The biggest one is a box jump.
Okay.
And I'm at the gymnastics gym, so I use foam,
right.
hard foam. So if you fall and hit your knee,
It's not going to hurt.
you just bounce off.
Sure.
You get people, they're glued to the ground on this much.
Right.
Glued.
They won't jump 12 inches.
No, less than that. 6. They're glued. They'll be, and they'll walk away and come back.
I can't
I
jump 6
can't-
inches.
So what do you
can't
do?
do
Put down
it.
a piece of paper and say, "Let's start here." That type of thing, or
I mean, I've used that joke before. Yeah, I mean, but it's funny. Like jumping is the number one thing. Even if it's something small, they look at you, and even if it's a couple inches.
Now, is that like in the older
I was gonna say,
demographic?
is that
Or what age
Yeah,
does that
yeah,
start to happen?
definitely. When you stop skipping around the house, so
Right.
probably like anybody over 50 for the most part, unless you do it, it's definitely scary, and that's the biggest. That's the biggest stone cold thing for people is jump. We're gonna do a box jump today, and they're stuck. They're stuck, and it's actually watching them. I can't believe I can't jump up there. I can't believe it. That's pretty
when
cool
they
to watch.
do that, how quickly do they advance inch-wise, like faster,
Oh,
higher?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's like jumping off the bridge the first time,
Yeah.
and then they're good to go. But that's really,
Interesting.
it's really
So
cool
once
to watch.
once they get over the mental gymnastics of the fear,
Yeah.
because I honestly believe one of the big things is fear. I mean, people fear change, so that's another fear thing. So once they overcome that fear, then they develop trust in you, and then
Yeah.
the next thing you're going to tell them,
Totally.
maybe they'll be a little less apprehensive, and they'll be like, I talked to Pete, he's got my back. He
That's
won't,
a
he
great
won't
way of
tell me
putting
to
it.
do it. Anyway, he can't do it.
Now, are they coming to you, or are you going to them, or both?
I used to go in home,
Right.
and that was like,
Who knows what
Well,
the
if you didn't have
variables
your
out
space,
there
if you
can-
didn't have your space, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? I mean, you got to start somewhere.
it was going to people's homes was a whole other animal. I mean, it was fun, but you're like, driving from house to house, your hair's on fire, you're watching that watch,
Right.
you got to deal with traffic, but it was fun. I mean, it's a young guy's game.
Yeah.
That's young guys hustle, but you can charge more money.
Oh, in someone's house?
Yeah, because you're showing up to them,
Right.
Oh, okay.
which is part of the battle. But then you're dealing with, did it snow? You're driving through snowstorms. What do you mean you can't get here? You got a truck.
Right.
I mean, that was fun though, and you get a lot of crazy stories.
But as far as for you, it's easier just to have and maintain,
Yes.
to have a place where people come
Correct.
to you.
Correct.
It's easier on you, less stress. You get a couple
Correct.
minutes to yourself between, clients.
And then I don't need much equipment. I've made just like a big yoga ball,
Right.
and a couple bands.
Ah, okay.
I made
That's enough.
$100,000 with just that two things,
Okay. Say that again. What?
like a yoga ball, the big round
Yeah.
balls,
like
and a
core
couple
balls and-
couple rubber bands, like
And
the
that-
stretchy bands. That's all I did for a while, just walking around house with a backpack.
So what type of equipment do you have at your place now?
I mean, it's a full-fledged.
Full-fledged gym,
Yeah.
weights, everything.
Then I have a big open area where we do our ladders and agility stuff.
And what is the value of doing this ladder stuff, agility stuff? Like what
I-
is that versus like?
I'd rather do that. If I had to pick one thing, I'd rather have people do that than lift weights.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it core and just flexibility and just stability?
Core flexibility, again, the foot speed, but it's building that connection from your mind
Right.
to your feet is the big one, because you lose it over time. You really do.
If you're sedentary, you're
If
just
you're
not,
sedentary,
Right.
all those nerve endings start to atrophy.
Really?
And I'm sure you guys have maybe read, when you step, if you're 150 pounds and you take a step, it's like 400 pounds of weight equivalent on your Achilles tendon.
Oh, coming
if you're
down or
Coming
something?
down.
Yeah, right.
If you're running, it's 600.
Wow.
If you're 150 pounds.
Right.
Wow.
So when you're doing ladder drills, it's even more than that, because you're putting your foot down with force.
Right.
So you're building a different system, which is like your tendons, your ligaments, your joints. Where lifting will get more of the skeletal muscle tissue, and the superficial stuff, the pretty stuff, that'll get that. So it's two different things you're training.
Right.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
So say I'm a 250-pound, 55-year-old guy coming to you, and I'm like, Pete, this has got to change. I'm not happy with the experience. What would be kind of maybe the first month or two focus, without giving away all the secrets?
No, I don't
mean,
care. It's fine with me.
But just what would you do for an individual who's like, hey, you're 6 feet, you really should be 180 at the most. Or
Correct.
What would be the progression to focus on? The diet mostly, or diet plus coming to see you twice a week, or what can you do at home also?
Well, I mean, you can work out all you want, but you can never outrun the fork.
Yeah,
Right.
you'll never outrun it. 100%. But, the lower back, if it's a guy, most of the time he's going to have lower back issues,
Right.
for the most part. From sitting all day. Like, we know the standard older guy, belly in the front, no butt.
Right.
Right.
Like,
right.
meh. So they call that, there's a term for it, they call it what is it called? Glute amnesia, where your butt muscles, seriously, the nerves lose their ability to fire from compression from sitting all day long, and you're not using them, so they seriously shrink and atrophy. So then I have people sometimes the first time in, they can't flex their butt muscle, like it doesn't work.
Really?
It doesn't work. It's just non-existent,
Dead to the world.
dead to the world. So the first thing we do is start building that.
With squats?
No, with single leg deadlifts with no weight. It's like, you guys remember that little bird, wooden bird that would sip
with
in the water?
Right,
yeah.
right.
That's the movement. Pivoting
Okay.
from the hip on one leg, straight back, up and down,
Really?
like that.
That's a deadlift?
That's a single leg deadlift.
Just the leg being the deadlift.
Just
I
the leg going out in the back. So
Okay.
upper body, you're going to move as one piece.
guess. Right.
Like pivoting on your hip. That's the number one.
Really?
No weight, no nothing. Just
You don't
body,
need it.
Don't need
Just
it.
body weight. Because try to do a couple, you'll be first time off. You'll be like, I can't believe I can't do that. Like, because you got to
I'll try that
balance.
later.
Yeah, you got to balance on the one leg, and then dip your body forward and the leg go out in the back.
Right.
Even, the first couple of 6 a.m., I'm wobbly.
Sure. Yeah.
Really?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
What is your workout routine?
So I usually I sneak one in when I can. Mm-hmm. So I don't do much anymore. But I'll pick one exercise and for that body part.
Are you working certain body parts on a?
I do.
Like
I do.
legs on Monday, this on Tuesday, that on
Yeah, for the
Wednesday?
most part. because I go to complete failure. So if I'm going to do like a chest move, I'll do like a dumbbell fly.
Right.
And I'll do a decent amount of weight, as many reps as I can, until I can't pick my arms up.
Oh, really?
And then I'll take a little minute break, and I'll do maybe 3 sets of failure, and then call it a day.
Wow. Okay.
But I definitely am not nearly as strong or as endurance as I used to be when I had time. You know, I'll do like maintenance now.
Yeah, I saw you do the. I think it was the deadlift on Facebook.
Yeah, so that was my 500-pound deadlift. I can't come near that.
Yeah,
because that's again training.
Right.
Getting better every time. Yeah.
Sure.
Let me ask you a question about testosterone, because like I know like I listen to Rogan a lot. And
all right.
He's doing like this testosterone replacement therapy through a doctor, and I hear a lot of guys like that age, because you lose that testosterone the older you get. I mean, there's nothing you can do; it's going away. And avocados, by the way, great way to get testosterone naturally. But have you
theory on that?
On the avocado cartels?
It's true.
Very timely.
So,
but I mean, as far as like going to a doctor when you're older and have you had any clients who've done that?
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay.
But I've had them ask me, and I used to train one of my good friends as an endocrinologist.
Okay.
At Hunter Medical Center.
Okay.
And he says to me, "Your testosterone's supposed to drop."
Right.
Yeah. So the people who are trying to keep it there, you know, are just,
what do you call it?
But it's totally. I mean, if you have the testosterone level of a 30-year-old and you're 50,
but you're not supposed to.
Yeah. Well.
So it's like anytime you
not supposed to dye your hair either.
Anytime you mess with that, I think anytime you mess with that hormone cycle, you're going to have come in the problems.
Right.
Oh, so you think down the road there'll be a problem?
Heart problems, cancer. Anytime you mess with those systems, something's going to happen.
So just sort of do the best you can with what you got and ride it out.
You know, you guys grew up with like Rowdy Piper, all those WWF
that was
guys.
A little different though. They were like
all those guys dropped dead of heart failure.
Steroids.
Testosterone
Right?
shreds your heart muscle.
Okay.
Look at Schwarzenegger. He had 2 quadruple bypasses,
and he's always looked like he's in great shape.
Right, but it shreds that hormone shreds your heart.
Really?
Yeah, and once you have heart damage, there's no coming back from it. It's one of the very few organs that has no resilience.
Yeah.
That and your teeth can't come back from it. Once you damage your heart, that's it. Never comes back.
So you're playing with fire. Basically.
You're playing with fire, in my opinion.
Your opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you can look good, but I don't know what's causing, unless you had like cancer on your thyroid or pituitary, and you have a reason for it not to be, you have no testicles.
Right.
Maybe then you should be replacing it to a level where you should be at.
Right.
But not just.
But again, you're
routine.
you're hyper pushing that level.
Okay.
I don't know. Everything's a bell curve in life. Right.
Everything.
Everything's a bell curve.
That's very interesting.
So I think if you're messing with the bell curve, you're gonna come into problems.
Right.
I'm definitely not going to disagree that there's benefits from it.
Right.
Totally.
But you just don't know what the long term.
You know what long term is.
Gotcha.
And if your goal of life is long term, fitness and long term being healthy, I don't know what that's going to cause. It hasn't been around long enough. Yeah. But when you look back at guys who you've known to abuse it, it leads to nothing but heart failure.
That is true. That's very true.
Yeah, there's not many long-term stories.
Right. Yeah. And plus, I'm sure you've heard, once you start taking that, your body stops making its own.
Mm-hmm. No, I didn't know any of that.
Yeah. So the human body is amazing. You start using insulin, your body will never make its own because it knows it's getting from an outside source. You start taking growth hormone, your natural growth hormone levels never spike. Like when you sleep, they usually spike first thing in the morning after a workout. That bell curve goes away because it's getting artificially hyperinflated. So the same thing with testosterone. You start taking that. That's why you get those shrunken testicles. Mm-hmm. They start to atrophy because they're not working anymore. So once you start using it, your body stops making its own. And then the jump started to go back to natural production is a whole nother ball game. So you can't stay on it. You have to cycle off and on. Really? So that's the fine print you got to read.
Yeah.
Well, I've never. I don't even know anyone who's ever done it. So but I just hear you hear from you. Hear,
once you go on it, you can't stay on it here. It's got to be mini bell curves then. So I'm going to use 400 milligrams for a couple weeks, and I'm going to taper back off. Then you got to take another drug to jumpstart your body's natural testosterone production at that point.
Interesting. I had no idea. So when you're basically holistic with your clients, eat healthy, exercise. That's it.
Yeah, for the you know what though,
Which is
you were
the best
asking
advice.
before, and if I look back, as far as people who've come in for just weight loss stuff, I don't actually deal with that many.
Right.
Oh,
In
okay.
that one girl, when I first started at Maximum, 150-pound weight loss.
Wow.
150. She was 6 foot.
Okay.
Her dad was a professional athlete. That's all I'm going to say. She looked like her dad.
Wow.
She lost 150 pounds.
Wow.
But otherwise than that, most people come to me for back injuries. I train a lot of equestrian riders, just recreational riders. They
Sure,
do
sure.
fox hunting. They all have lower back issues. They all have hamstring
the
issues.
horse,
It's
right?
the horse.
Yeah.
But they'll come to me. I don't know if I can ever ride again. And you get them going. I rode for 2 hours and it was great. So a lot
Building
of
up
my clientele
muscles.
are actually kind of in shape already.
Right.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Correct. So some
That's
people,
good.
will be like just soft, but I don't deal with that many people that are just a mess.
Yeah.
It's just that's the way it happened. Not that I won't take on that.
Yeah.
It's just that's the way it happened.
That's awesome.
So do most people come to you like a typical person saying, hey, that 250-pound guy who's 55 and he wants to change his life, would he be seeing you multiple times a week, do you think?
Yeah, most of the time is 3 times a week
Okay.
Do you do a 3 times a week each person?
for the most part. Yeah.
That's excellent.
Some people do 2, but I'll make sure we go hard on those 2 days.
Yeah.
Like I want them to say, man, I just stopped being sore yesterday.
Right.
And I'm back.
Right. That's my goal is to just, you almost, it sounds silly, but you almost want to be sore all the time in a good way on that group you worked the day before.
Right.
Not that I'm
Right.
saying you
Because they're
can't.
improving.
But your
improving,
body's
yeah.
recovering
Correct.
too.
Correct. But, the first couple times I always love, I couldn't get off the toilet. I love that one. That's one of my favorites.
Really?
You have to grab the soap dish or the toilet paper holder to get up.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That only happened the first couple times.
Yeah.
But what is the saying? No pain, no gain?
Yeah,
That's still relevant, right?
It is. It is to a
So you got to
certain
be a
point.
little sore.
You always want to be a little sore.
Right,
a little
right.
bit.
You don't want to be injured, but you want to be a little sore.
And you don't want to be dragging, completely fatigued. Oh my God, I can't even pick my arms up.
Right.
But yeah, it's a healthy soreness.
That's great. That's
And then
great.
along with the exercise situation, you'll advise them on eating certain
Yeah.
ways to
Unfortunately, no matter what, I can't really, with my certification, only like dietitians
Right.
can actually give you a full meal plan.
Right.
So for
But you can
liability
say like,
reasons,
hey,
I
dark
do-
leafy greens are really good for you.
Right, totally. So I actually train a dietitian, and if anybody wants that, I say,
Oh,
here,
go
why
ahead.
don't you talk to X, and she'll really
Oh.
give you something.
Gotcha,
good.
gotcha,
But,
gotcha. So you
you
just
know-
sort of stay general on the diet because you're not
Totally.
right, just general.
Just general.
That makes sense.
Yeah. yeah.
And I try to get them to do the fasting.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
going to
there's-
say, do they
there's-
ask, what do you do? Should
Yeah.
I do what you do?
Totally. I have one guy now who's crushing it
Yeah.
on fasting. He's in his later 50s, down like 36 pounds. And he did a 72-hour fast a couple weeks ago, and he was like, dude, I'm telling you, I'm not joking.
Rob, there's lots of
Dude,
people doing this now.
I'm not joking.
72 hours, though? I
Is there
mean,
water involved? Like,
Yeah,
gotta be water.
there's one. You can do water, coffee. But I'm telling you, there's euphoria.
There is.
I'm
I've
telling you,
heard these
that.
people
I'm
interviewed.
talking complete
the endorphins
physical,
are flying.
mental.
Well, I don't know if
I'm
they're-
talking like euphoria. Like, you hear a runner's high, but in
Yeah.
order to get there, you got to run 10 miles.
Right.
It is like that. It's unbelievable. It's hard to get there. It's not easy.
Are they Italian?
No. my wife is
3 hours.
Are they Italian? We do a 3-hour fast. We're ready to roll
right, 2
here.
hours ready to go. But yeah, I'm telling you, there is a full euphoric piece of that puzzle. But it takes a while to get there.
It does. I've tried the fasting.
It's tough,
thing,
man.
and it's
Yeah.
it is tough. But
so.
I need to find it though. I need to find that because you really do feel good after
So,
a while.
yeah, if you're
You got to
looking-
start with no breakfast.
Well, I was going to say,
So
so if you want to build on to and fast, you just have no breakfast and then
no
lunch.
breakfast, then do a lunch,
Yeah,
and then do a dinner,
Right.
and then maybe in a week or two, try one day of the week where
Just
you
go
don't
one.
eat lunch.
Right.
Here's what
And
I know.
then go back to whatever, the next day do breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Okay.
It's so
It
strange.
doesn't have to be
Fall
this
off a
way.
cliff, yeah.
It's
Right.
so strange because like during the week I'll get up very early, 3:30.
All right, you're in my ballpark now, dude.
Okay, but on the weekend I'll sleep to 9 or 10.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm not eating from like 9 o'clock at night. Like I've done like 12, 13 hours. I'm not even like starving now,
Right.
right? Sometimes I'll even go to the gym without even like, maybe just a little something to drink. And I'm like, what's going on?
I'm sure you guys have, what's your hobby? Something outside of work.
This is it. But yeah, this is kind of what we do. Yeah.
So if you had to do this I've had people do something a whole day and then go, seriously, I went all day without eating.
Right.
And that's the same guy who told me if I don't eat, I'm going to pass out.
Yeah, it's all up here, right?
Yeah.
It's mental.
One guy I train is a complete bird fanatic.
Right.
What do you mean, bird?
Like watching?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He goes and he travels
To watch birds.
around the world, like to Alaska, to Bosnia, to see a bird.
Right.
That's his thing. It's fine.
I need
But
his name.
That's why we train.
Yeah.
So he can hike 10,000 feet to go watch the whatever.
And he'll tell you about the bird.
Yeah. I get
passion.
pictures of birds. I get photos. It's wild. But that's why he trains to be able to hike. He hires a private guide
Right.
for like $10,000, and he hikes at 3 a.m. to watch the purple flugel binder at the top of the mountain. But
Right.
he'll go. The same guy said, "Dude, you got to get into fasting." I can't do that. I went all day and I only ate dinner at 10 o'clock at night, and he hiked 26,000 feet.
Yeah, that's
it's
the thing.
unbelievable.
What people don't understand is like
Unbelievable.
you get the lightheadedness, right? You get I haven't eaten all day. I'm lightheaded. I'm
Yeah,
this.
but-
I'm that. But after you do it for a long period of time, your body adjusts.
But this was just a random day. He'll do it and be successful.
oh, he doesn't fast normally.
Right. He's totally, I can't do that. He's a 3 meal a day guy.
Right.
And
Well,
he's
it's all around us. I mean, how could you, if you didn't
It's
have
tough.
it all the time, you probably could phase it out. But, I mean, it's,
Imagine having friends that bring you bagels for your birthday.
thank
Oh
you.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
But the everyday bagel, man, there's in that
do it.
office I worked in, the girls in the office, this is back in the day when they faxed menus. I don't know if they still do that.
Oh,
they
wait,
still do that?
No.
They would fax a menu, the restaurants would fax a menu in the
Right.
morning to the office.
to prime you to get
And then
to,
the girls, the 15 girls that worked there would get together.
and some guys probably.
Yeah, a couple guys would jump in and be like, "What do you want? We're gonna order from so and so today." And they had the sheet out and they'd all be checking it. That was like the highlight of the day.
Yeah.
And there was always food there, right? Someone always brought bagels,
Yeah.
and that was the funniest thing to watch. I remember one time. This is the day we stopped eating lunch together. We had like a nice conference table and we'd eat lunch there. I used to eat raw yams. You can eat a yam raw, not a regular potato, you get sick. But a yam, sweet potato, I used to slice it. It tastes just like a carrot. It's actually
right.
pretty amazing.
There's a great potato diet.
Like, amazing. A sweet potato raw is amazing. So they all ate from an Italian place. And the girl next to me had this like 6-pound piece of lasagna.
right.
She flopped it on the table. And I'm sitting there with my chicken breast
And
carnivore
your
at
yam.
the time, and I'm crunching this yam. And there was a weird moment of silence. No one was arguing. It was just silent. And all you hear is, she turns to me. She's like, "What are you eating?" And I was like, "A yam." And at the time, it was just a yam with the skin on it. I was just gnawing on it. And she looks at me with this look. That is disgusting. And I wasn't having a good day that day. And I
So
looked
you
at her
snapped
and I said,
inappropriately?
"No, what you're eating is disgusting."
Yeah.
And I went through the whole calorie content of that. I'm like, "That is 27 grams of fat, 887 carbs," and I ripped the whole thing, and it went silent. And we never ate lunch together again after that day. We all ate in our offices like squirrels.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I ruined the conference table lunch.
be honest
Maybe
with
not. Maybe you enhanced it for the long term.
Yeah.
So you got to look
you.
at the positive side.
You're not an office guy.
No,
You in the cubicle, it's not. I mean, you got to be out there moving, talking, inspiring people, jumping around.
Wow. I mean, this whole fasting, one time a day, that's very intriguing. I mean,
and then when you get there, you get to lunch, you're like, "I almost got it." But let me tell you, that food at night tastes amazing. Anything your wife burns, amazing. Doesn't matter.
Oh, what's his name does it? What was the founder of Twitter? What was that? Jack
Dorsey.
Dorsey.
Yeah.
It's a 1 meal a day guy.
Yeah.
What do you think of this?
ahead.
One Chipotle Bowl a day. Too much
That's fine.
sodium? Like, what do you think?
Go for it.
So it doesn't
Go for
matter
it.
what you're eating
Because
at dinner.
you
as
almost
much.
are taking the day's calories and putting it into one. So
Sure.
actually, you can have more.
You can go right.
You can. I'm not saying that to go for broke, but
Right.
So if you're gonna have, say, 500 calories in the breakfast, which is going light for most people, 700 at lunch, and that's already 1,500 to or 2,000 calories you can eat at dinner, added to your dinner.
Right.
So now you can actually have a substantial dinner and not feel like you're henpecking.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, I can add that bowl of pasta, whatever. Give me a couple of meatballs. It's fine. Because you're adding all your calories from one day in one shot. See, and the current thing for diabetics is eat every couple hours.
Right. Keep it level or something.
But to keep your insulin levels the same. But if you think about it, I think the contrary, and a lot of people do, then your insulin levels are going like this. You eat, it drops back down.
Right.
You eat again, it drops back down.
Right. It's all about the insulin level.
So it's going all over the place. During the day, mine's like this, and I get one spike at night, and that's it.
But that one spike is not so invasive to the body that it should be a problem.
Correct.
Okay. So what are you eating?
Yeah.
At night, whatever my lovely wife cooks.
But I mean, do you have?
They're vegetarian too.
But do you have like
just because?
Do you have like a lot of like a big dark leafy green salad, some nuts on it, like walnuts, cranberries?
Or is it lasagna?
Or no.
Sometimes, lasagna. Well, it's pasta, pizza.
Where
we do Friday night.
Protein from?
See,
Beans?
you don't need the protein. That's the whole thing. You do your research.
Yeah, there's a lot of
the protein
vegetables.
recycles. That's what you guys. It recycles itself.
But you still need to intake some.
You're not really, because you understand how much is getting broken down during every day.
So how many grams of protein do you think you're getting in a day?
Maybe 50 at best.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm not like.
50 is good. 50 is good. Do you have any? You don't have any protein shakes? Nothing.
You know what? The only protein shake that I used to eat was an egg protein shake, and it got really expensive.
An egg protein shake?
Yeah, egg is one of the most expensive ones.
Okay.
Because the amount of work it takes to get there, but again, it's processed. Okay. It's processed food.
Right.
Whey protein, processed. Egg protein, processed. Pea protein, processed. It's all processed. So you might as well go for the real deal.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
For the protein to be reprocessed, do you have to go through the fasting to get it, your system to create that? So it's not like you can just, hey, I'm not going to eat protein, and my body will take care of it and have 3 meals a day.
But in that one meal, you have some protein.
Yeah, there'll be some aspect of it.
Yeah.
That will have protein.
If I'm having a pasta, it's just regular regular pasta.
You're not a gluten-free guy or anything like that. Huh?
I'll do 5 hard-boiled eggs with that pasta. Whatever.
Protein. Yeah, okay.
I mean, we do usually thing is like once a week, right? You guys household like that? We have a pizza night, we have a pasta night, we have a breakfast for dinner night.
Really?
We just like eggs. Wow. And then
Now your wife, is she into physical fitness?
No. I mean, she works out, but she's not
as disciplined.
Right.
But it's still a cohesive.
Yes,
you guys are on the same page. Food.
Right. She's not coming home with boxes of donuts because she knows I throw it out.
Right. So you guys were on that in that
yeah,
same
for the most part.
It was so strange. I lost about 70-something pounds back in 2014. 14.
What were you weighing?
I was 270.
You must have been like a linebacker, dude.
Believe it or not, there will be never would gain any weight in the bicep or my legs. It goes in one spot. You know what I mean? I got chicken ankles, chicken arms, and it's all on my butt, all on my midsection here. So, but I remember going to this, listening to a nutrition speak. So we went to this person's house, and they were trying to sell something too, but it was fine. And all of these people were like him, like into nutrition, and you could like feel the energy of that like discipline, and like that's when I first got exposed to it. I was like, oh, wait a second here, there's something going on here, and I started to peel back the onion. I lost some weight, but I mean, there is something about the disciplined lifestyle where all of a sudden it's not discipline. Like this is just how you live, and you feel great.
Right, change your lifestyle.
Change your lifestyle.
I'm telling you, it all comes back to that dopamine cycle. If you're getting it all the time, so I have a flip phone. I don't use a smartphone.
Right.
Really?
Yeah. If I want to look at something, I'll go on the computer when I get home.
Yeah.
And it's that.
That is amazing.
So I started doing that like 5 years ago, and because it's instant dopamine. Looking at this, I don't have Facebook, I don't have Twitter, I don't have anything. Only thing I have is a YouTube account. Mm-hmm. I have no social media. I don't want social media. I don't have anything to check, and I'm like unplugged from that. And when I go on the internet, I'm gonna look up something that I want substantial. I have to want to go look at it. It's not just crap I'm looking at.
No,
you know what I mean? So if I'm gonna look up, so
whatever you want.
So I do CUs for my certification. I'll go on and do a test, read an article, do the test, and that's it. Or if I'm gonna watch something on YouTube before bed, or I don't watch much TV, so I use YouTube. So I'll watch some YouTube, get some information, and that's basically it.
Are you a reader?
Nope. Not in the most part, no.
Just you take a lot of stuff audio.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Gotcha.
And
I think that's like the most amazing thing because he's so right about that dopamine on the
you got
phone.
the discipline and the knowledge. I think that's a great combination.
That's amazing.
I'll tell you the dopamine, because then when I go on the computer, it has meaning.
Right.
And that's the same for the food. You keep shoving it, your body's getting that spike. But I'm telling you, you go the whole day, oh man, that's the like working outside in the cold. You come in and you have that meal.
Yeah.
That's the best meal you had in a month.
Right.
Right? And that's what it's like every day.
Wow. So
Right?
the dopamine, you save up time for
Right? Like going to the Bahamas every vacation. When did we go snorkeling? I don't know. Was it 2 years ago? 5 years ago?
Right.
So there's a whole pattern of life to that.
But the cycle of when did you figure out about the smartphones? Because like it sort of just came in.
Correct.
Everyone was like, "Oh, this is really cool."
Correct.
And then before you know it, like our fingers are just scroll. Rob's very disciplined with his phone too. Like he'll only go on Facebook like once a week, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Nice.
Well,
Good for you, man. Good for you. Solid.
He'll mark out some time. He'll
Correct.
go once a week, check out a family and friends, do it, and then he taps out for another 7 days.
Yeah.
Just very disciplined. He's a disciplined guy.
Some people are like, "Why I can't ever reach you?" And I don't even look at my phone that much too. So
Yeah, if you text him, you know 6 to 12 hours. But
That's me too. That's me too. Like, I'm other than one word.
when did you figure this out? Because we're just getting to the addiction to social media.
Correct.
The addiction, like the Social Dilemma on Netflix was. I don't know if you saw that.
I did.
That one
Yeah.
really opened up
That
a
was
lot
creepy,
of people.
right?
That was
Yeah,
really
very
creepy.
creepy.
That was
But
creepy.
you were there before the Social Dilemma came
Way
out.
before.
So when did you figure it out?
And when it came out, I finally got vindicated.
yeah, that's good.
No,
Right? I was like,
rightly
look,
so.
I've been telling you guys.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, it was, I don't know if there was an exact moment, but I just noticed, you know, you go anywhere, a doctor's office, Wawa, people just, it was actually embarrassing.
Yeah.
Honestly, not to insult anybody with a cell phone. Like, they can't go 1 second at a light.
Right.
You're at a stoplight. I'm looking, everybody around me is looking down at their phone. What is so important
Yeah.
that you can't wait 20 seconds at a light?
Right.
And that was one of my, you know, it was hard to because I'm not that I social media, but I was just looking up information.
Yeah.
That's what I used it for.
Scrolling through
so it's
feed.
instant. No feeds. I don't have any of that stuff. It was information. So I wonder how many calories. It was more of that stuff.
Like I'm bored, I might as well look in type of thing.
Correct. You know what? I'm gonna look up some new. That's what I used to use it for. Because there's a lot of fitness guys on YouTube, fitness girls.
Yeah, a lot of them.
I do a lot of
Dr.
different.
Rhonda Patrick is amazing.
Totally.
Amazing.
So I do a lot of different exercises because everyone wants something different. They don't want to do the same move every time.
Yeah.
So I used to use YouTube. You know, I'm going to look up some different exercise, but then you get sucked in,
Right.
right? You look up on exercise. What's recommended under that? Ooh, right.
Right, yeah, because
You get-
then it starts to just feed with everything.
Correct. Correct. So it was my phone broke, and then I just looked at my amount of time on the phone. It gives you like your
Yes,
total, and I'm
yes.
like, dude, it's absolutely nuts. And like most things, it was income generated. You didn't have time to waste looking through stuff. So I just went to flip phone, but it was also because of the physical keys. My hands were so calloused and cut.
Right.
I'd hit an A and it'd be like S, delete, A, S, delete, A, S, delete, A.
So frustration just eventually was like
Frustration,
screw this.
I want physical keys. No company makes a phone
Right.
with physical keys. But my flip phone has physical keys on it.
It's amazing.
Wow. So when did you get the flip phone? 5 years ago?
Yeah, I've been at this is like my third flip phone.
Okay.
Yep.
Interesting.
And I'm a ninja on those keys.
You share this information with your clientele too.
Which with you'll never get them off a smartphone. You'll get them to eat better before you get them off the cell phone.
Probably, yeah.
Totally.
But that builds though on top of fasting. I mean, if you build your discipline in an area like getting off of the smartphone, then you've also strengthened the ability for you to go to fasting too, I'd imagine.
Yeah,
so it's
absolutely.
And you're not watching a lot of TV.
No, very few.
Very few.
I record because I don't like commercials. Gold Rush.
Mm-hmm.
I got you, but you're
they're
disciplined
History
on
Channel
that.
stuff for the most part.
You're disciplined on that too.
Yeah, there's no time. It's time. My daughter, you know, when I get home from work, play with my daughter. She goes to bed at 8:30. Time to go to bed. Got to get up at 4. There's no time. I have customers say to me, "I watched all of Yellowstone this weekend." I'm like, the whole thing, all 8 seasons.
I binged.
When?
I know.
When
but
did
that
you?
Yellowstone was good.
I've never seen an episode. I don't have time. When do they? When? I don't understand how they have the time to watch it.
What's your first time? What time is your first appointment in the morning?
5.
Oh, so you got clients.
That's
at 5.
actually a wrestler I train who's going. He has the Regents today for high school.
Wow.
No.
Wow.
So he'll come over to your
Over there by
he lives
Schultz.
close to the gym.
okay.
Gotcha.
So we meet up there at 5, and then I go straight after that. 5,
it
6,
just
7, 8, 9, 10,
starts
11,
the
12,
whole
1,
day.
2. Yeah, I'll do 12, 13 sessions straight. From 5 to 6:30 straight.
So when you come home, you're a little burnt too. You need a little.
I'm used to it now, just like everything else.
time.
I'm okay.
Wow.
Oh, that's great.
How much? What's your sleep situation look like? Like as far as every day?
Yeah, bed by 9, up at 4.
Done.
Done.
But you're getting 7 solid.
7 solid.
Do you ever feel? Like
I will
you need
nap
more?
sometimes.
Yeah.
I do. So I work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays with my daughter, Thursday, Friday, and no work Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So you're on a
I'll do a couple makeups, but that's why I do so many sessions in one day.
Right. So you've carved out this schedule, which therefore was able to carve out the life you wanted with
Correct
your
it.
schedule. Right.
Correct.
Right.
It's all about spending
Saturday,
time with
Sunday
that kid.
family. That's awesome.
That's
Correct.
Good. That's good. So let's take a change of view here.
Go ahead.
Obviously, the personal trainer side, huge. I also knew a little bit about your situation with Power Locker as far as that. Can you give us a little bit of detail and background history on that? Because that sounds really interesting too.
Yeah, so me and another guy used to train who we obviously become friends with. He's like a finance guy, would work on this, work on that, works for himself, always an entrepreneur.
Okay.
So someone was getting rid of a handful of these, they were branded healthy vending machines.
Right.
And we bought them. And so I put in some money, we went and got these first 10 machines. And he grew up in this area, and he had connections at all these private schools, Pingree, Del Barton. Oh, the headmaster of Del Barton, I played ice hockey with him. So we got our machines into those schools, and they just caught on fire. And they were, instead of having your candy bars, because the private schools have more expensive clientele for the most part. So they didn't want a Kit Kat bar for their kids. So we put protein bars, organic apple bars,
Right.
waters, different, vitamin waters in there. So we started doing those, and actually pretty crazy. Schools, would we meet with the school, and they'd say, well, what's our cut of the machine? And we'd be like, there is no cut. You have to pay us for the machine, and we get all the profits. And they look at us like, what do you
crazy.
mean? I said, well, we're providing a service
Sure.
for your school. And they think about it. And I'd say, do you pay your janitor to work here, or does your janitor pay you?
Right.
And then they would pay us for the machine to have it there every month.
And
Plus we
fully
keep all the
stocked.
profits. We had the headmaster from Pingree, I think we still have this voicemail, called us and said, getting those vending machines was the best move I've made as headmaster since 2015. We had multiple parents say, my son has never gotten up early for school. And all of a sudden, he's ready to go. So after the third day, the mom said, why are you up so early? And he looked at her, seriously said, I don't want the vending machine to be empty when I get there. So we watched this because we used to fill the machines in the beginning.
Right.
We'd show up with our U-boat, unload in front. There's kids who, it has debit, credit, everything.
Right.
Apple Pay, Google Pay, doesn't matter. We take everything. We put unlimited funds on one scan. So you could scan your card and charge $100. A kid would go up to the machine. There's a line around the corner.
Really?
A kid would go up to the machine, watch this, scan it, and he'd go beep beep doom da da doom, beep beep doom da da doom. Same product.
Right.
Beep beep. He'd empty the product, fill his backpack, hoist it, and John says,
What are we selling? Crack?
John says, what are you going to do with those things? Resell them?
Yeah.
He goes, no, I hand them out to my friends. So he's walking down the hallway throwing iced teas.
This is not his money, it's daddy's money.
They were Arnold Palmer, half and half lemonade,
Right.
half iced tea, the little skinny can.
Yeah.
He was handing those things out like confetti, throwing them to his buddies. And that's what
Was he
they were
running
doing.
for office or something like
Right?
that?
No,
Yeah.
they were just, that's what they do. Here, I got you some stuff. So
Wow.
we started doing that, and then it just became too much. We still fill those machines, but it was just so much work to find someone to do it,
Right.
to show up, but it's cool because the software shows us what's empty.
Right.
So I can go on machine 121 and see what's empty. So we don't have to show up with a giant truck full of stuff. We could show up with a
Which you know that
with a
machine.
sedan
Right.
with the stuff in the back and fill that machine, which was pretty cool. But then we got into building our own machines. We found a really good machine, and it goes indoor outdoor. We have one at Camelback It's in the snow, sleet, rain.
really?
Doesn't matter. You can hit it with a sledgehammer, bounces off. And that's the machine we've been using. And I was telling you guys before, so BioSteel is a company up and coming. They're contracted with the NHL as their number one hydration drink. And if the bell curve keeps going, we're going to overtake Gatorade in the next couple of years as far as number one hydration. So now we are contracted with BioSteel exclusively for our machines, and they're going to buy a whole bunch coming up for their own. They placed them. We just sell them the machine.
Oh, right, right. So you got your fingers in a lot of different. You're an entrepreneur.
Well, you got to make money when you're sleeping.
Yeah.
Right. And that's always the hard part because my business is very hard to scale.
Right.
So how do you scale?
There's only one of you, so I mean.
And the doctors go into this problem all the time, which is the model I've stolen. So doctors are doing a lot of stuff with their money on the side because how many people you can only see 30 patients a day.
Right.
You can only do 5 hip surgeries in one day.
Right.
You can only operate 4 days a week. So they have to do something else.
That's
so
awesome.
That's where we started thinking of what else can we do that's related.
Right, in the health genre.
Correct.
Yeah, and they get parent approval. It sounds like
Absolutely,
so much better
instantly,
than the Coke
instantly.
and the Kit Kats
And you're in
Totally.
you're not putting out their Doritos.
Correct. We'll do a healthy version of a Dorito.
Right.
Oh, okay.
There's a couple companies that make one, but I think it's gluten free, made of potato with potato.
No high fructose corn
No high
syrup.
fructose corn syrup, and there's a little protein in it.
Yeah.
So the parents feel better
But
about buying it.
it stays in it stays in your lane.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
There's chocolate, but I think it's like an organic, 85% cacao.
Right.
From naturally, organically sourced from the rainforest.
Yeah.
And that's all the products we get are pretty cool because there's so many small companies making this stuff and they can't get it into any store.
Right.
They can't get in the Walmart, can't get in the ShopRite.
Yeah.
So they're sitting there on like Facebook trying to sell their stuff, which is tough,
Yeah.
So we'll call those companies up,
And try and get them in the machine.
try their product and go, dude,
Right.
give us 50% markup and we'll take that product. So we have a lot of stuff you can't find in other places.
Right, unique items.
But now it's cool because there's a protein donut that we used to exclusively distribute. Now it's at Walmart.
Oh, wow.
Oh, really?
So
Yes.
you're like the gateway into.
Yeah, we were like, I'm like a couple things there. A couple of the protein cookies, we were the only ones selling.
Right.
And now they're at Walmart. We're like, dude, they're at Walmart now.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So now you're doing this, but do you allow other people to franchise it out type of thing?
Yeah, I mean, they can go and buy our machines.
Right.
And they can, as long as you use
So where do you find this machine? Is there a website?
Yeah, like the Power Locker, just Google Power Locker. Yep, and you got us on there.
You'll figure it out from there.
Yeah. But the machines are pretty bulletproof. They only need a plug. You can plug it in a festival. It just needs an outlet. Run off a generator.
Right.
It's all cell service.
Right, it's all 5G.
No, you don't even need to cash in. We can shut the cash off and just use debit. Use debit Google.
Wow.
So you never have to worry about it running out of coins.
Yep.
You don't have to worry about it running out of paper
Anything.
dollars. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Because some of them will shut off if a coin is jammed. It won't take anything.
Right.
So we shut those off sometimes. How many people carry $3, $4
Yeah.
in money anyway?
Yeah, nowadays it's changing for sure.
Yeah, we were actually thinking about getting rid of the coin altogether.
Yeah, probably. Because then.
Because they run out of change quick.
Right, and then you have to go to the bank. You got to do this.
Correct,
you gotta do
correct.
that. Yeah.
Oh, the world is changing, so
is
it's going
changing,
to
absolutely.
coinless and paperless a lot of times. So yeah.
So, Rob, what is our ending question we're supposed to ask again?
Well, I mean, was there any question that we didn't ask that you think we should have about your situation?
I don't know. What do you guys think? We keep talking. I got lots more to talk about.
I mean, it's I'm really seriously looking at the fasting thing just to try that out. So, I mean, that's certainly
You can start. The easiest way to start is fasting with water.
right.
So the only reason I've been sipping because I'm talking so much.
Yeah.
But I think we're training a whole generation of kids. They have to have a water.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta have my water. You can't go an hour without drinking. Mm-hmm. Like if we're outside and it's 85 degrees and you're
right.
running, okay.
Like this is
Right, but you look about people in their water.
Right.
They have to have that water. Gotta
this like
carry.
habit?
Dude, growing up, did you guys have a water bottle?
No.
Dude, you sip from the water fountain once in between class and you're good to go all day.
right. How did we survive?
Right? How did we survive? Like my daughter always she nuts with that flask, that whatever brand Yeti. She's got to have it with
Is that
her.
a dopamine thing?
Totally.
Yeah,
It's
so-
that's the way you can start.
Yeah.
Drink if you're thirsty, but try not to sip all day. And you won't go to the bathroom. You're going to the bathroom every 2 seconds if you're drinking.
Right.
That's what I do.
Sure.
Right.
So that's again, it was monetary because I was going to the bathroom every 2 times a session. People were like, think I got a problem.
Well, let me ask you one more question, so as we get ready to wind this down. So the middle-aged folks that haven't taken the leap into fitness, but are thinking about it because they don't like the way they feel, they don't like the way they look, they feel, you know what I mean, they just don't feel good, but they're nervous. Like they're like, should I get a trainer? What would you tell those folks listening?
See, they got to be ready though. That's the biggest one. Just like anything else, they got to hit that point where I get a lot of phone calls and then we're never any follow up.
Yeah.
And you call them again, text them, no answer. So obviously that person wasn't ready to go. So the biggest step is, are you ready to do something? And the easiest thing to do is the diet. It really is. It's the hardest, but the easiest.
Right.
Right.
It takes 0 effort to not eat.
Right.
Physical effort.
Right.
Tell somebody if they have to run 5 miles or not eat a cheeseburger, which one do you think they'd pick?
Buy a
Right?
cheeseburger. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, well, how about if they do want to come on and work with you, how do you mentally get them prepared saying, okay, if we're going to go down this road, expect this, expect hard points in this area or this area.
If you want results, you have to be all in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get a lot of people coming from the doctor. Doctor is going to put me on a heart medication unless
Right.
I XYZ.
Right.
I've had a bunch of those, and that's usually works
Yeah.
a lot.
They get the little scare.
They get the scare. Totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
And is it fair to say, I mean, I like what you had pointed out before. I don't know if it was during the conversation or before. They kind of commit to a payment, so that they're
Correct.
in.
Correct.
Which I think is really, really smart, because otherwise the sort of follow through is going to be like, well, I don't feel like going to see Pete today, that type of thing.
Even the richest person will be a thorn in their side if they have to pay and get nothing out of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, once they book a personal trainer's time and you don't show up, you have to pay. I mean,
The thing with the gym membership is,
right?
Whatever. It's only $15. It's only $20. You blow it off.
Sure.
It's only $20 a month. No problem. That's a great business model for Planet Fitness.
Right.
Right. $10 a month. No one ever shows up.
Right.
It's a home run. Right.
But you say you belong to the gym.
Yeah, I go to the gym every once in a while. I use the shower.
Right.
Right. But yeah, the monetary thing's big because that's another big pusher, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's like buying a mattress. If you're going to be sleeping a third of your life on a mattress, you're not going to get this crappy mattress. So if you're going to be saying, hey, I want to change my body and, I want to change my health for the better, I'm going to work with someone who obviously knows what they're doing. I'm going to commit to it and pay the individual. And also good for them to force me to come to you ultimately to have some sort of discipline and consistency, because otherwise it's not going to work. So
there's the big difference between motivation and discipline, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you can have the motivation to come from your doctor saying you're going to have to go on 4 different medications, right?
Yeah.
But do you have the discipline to keep coming? So the big thing is the discipline, which I think has all roots of that dopamine cycle.
Yeah.
It's all the dopamine.
What people don't realize is that sometimes if you haven't taken the leap to start going down the path of exercising and working out, there's actually a dopamine release after a good workout.
Oh, yeah. Totally. Get that nice pump going.
Yeah. Like I remember when I used to jog a lot when I was younger. Like a few times, only happened a few times, but I ran and I feel like I just keep going forever. I wasn't tired.
Totally.
And then I started hearing about this jogger's high thing.
Yeah.
And then you really have to be locked in for a long time before it happens. But I had it once or twice, and I was like, "Oh, this is what they were talking about."
Yeah.
And I was like, "I couldn't believe how far I jogged that day." You know what I mean? So there is the dopamine release from exercise.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Rob,
as usual, I've learned a lot with our guest here.
Absolutely.
So this is.
my name is Rob.
And I'm Rob too.
This is the Help Me Out Middle Aged podcast. We want to thank Pete for coming out.
Yeah.
And if they want to find you, where should they go?
I'm at, you can email me at PeteShebyTraining@gmail.com.
Say that one more time slowly.
PeteShebyTraining@gmail.com.
Absolutely. And he'll be happy to work with you. Yeah. Well, thanks, Pete, for coming out.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you
Take
very
care,
much.
man. Bye-bye.